Captain, welcome to STOBETTER's Elite TFO training for the Herald Sphere Task Force operation. We'll start with objectives.
The first objective of this TFO is to defend 6 Federation science vessels near 3 different portals. All 6 vessels must survive or the TFO will fail. Once the science vessels have been defended, move through the gateway to intercept Herald ships attempting to leave the sphere. Prevent Herald forces from entering the gateways for 4 minutes. No more than 15 ships can be allowed to escape, or the mission will fail. Next, exit the sphere through the gateway and defeat enemy forces and command ships that arrive periodically during the subsequent 4 minutes. Finally, re-enter the gateway to destroy the Iconian Dreadnought in under 3.5 minutes, thus completing all objectives. The overall TFO must be completed in under 14 minutes.
Thank you. On to risks and rewards. This TFO needs moderate coordination and team composition to play well in Elite, specifically in the first and second stages. In the first stage, you must keep the science vessels alive, while not losing any. In the second, you must prevent too many Herald ships from escaping. Ideally, none will escape during this stage. Adversary damage level is high due to the combination of enemy damage and disabling effects, combined with high enemy density. Unfortunately, relative to the difficulty and length of this TFO, it only awards a mediocre amount of Iconian or fleet marks, along with a chance for isomagnetic plasma pieces. Due to multiple time gates, this is also one of the longest TFOs. The adversaries on this operation are Iconian Heralds, which have a combination of smaller and larger ships. The smaller Baltum Raiders are not much of a threat, but Quas cruisers and especially Voth battleships are far more dangerous. Battleships can summon solar gateways, which inflict severe damage over time if left unchecked, and can spawn them behind player ships. Both cruisers and battleships can summon energy gateways, which increase their durability, and have abilities like EMP Pulse Probe and Ionic Turbulence, which can disable or interfere with normal ship operation, leaving you vulnerable to more conventional attacks. AoE builds are highly recommended here due to the number of targetable gateways and probes. Exotic builds that can clump and slow large numbers of enemies are excellent on this map. Be very careful about solar gateways behind you, as they can destroy most player ships within seconds. If you see one near you, manually target it as fast as possible. They do not have much HP, but are very lethal. Lastly, ensure you spread out in the first 3 stages to cover the science vessels, attack paths, and portals in order to prevent mission failure. Now, combat footage will be shown to illustrate the principles discussed previously. The goal of this section is not to illustrate perfect piloting, but provide an example of how to successfully complete the map with all objectives and without dying. Note that for brevity's sake, the footage is usually sped up relative to in-game speed. In the initial stage, choose one of the 3 portals and attack the Herald ships there that are threatening the science vessels. The team will need to divide to cover all 3 portals, as the TFO will fail if any allied science vessels are destroyed. This is not an area to hold back, so use your long cooldown abilities here to quickly complete this stage. Move to any other portals that need help once clearing your initial one. Once all 3 portals are secure, enter the gateway. In the second stage, the team again needs to divide up to attack the various Herald groups. The initial cutscene can be skipped, allowing for faster movement to the spawn points, which will occur all around the central ring marked on the map. If your team is weaker, working in groups of 2 to 3 on each group will work better than having everyone attempt to solo an enemy force. If your team is stronger, or in particular has a strong exotic build, it's possible to solo an enemy group. The forces consist of 1 to 2 battleships, 1 to 2 cruisers, and a handful of raiders plus their summons, so AoE builds and abilities are well suited to taking them out. In this stage, no more than 15 ships can escape, or else the TFO will fail. While practiced and very capable teams can complete this stage without any ships escaping, having a few slip through is not a major loss. It's important to have strong speed boosts available frequently, as moving quickly from group to group increases the time available to defeat them before they can escape. Initially, I fumble my throttle settings here, so it takes me longer than I want to reach the first group of enemy ships. However, once there, and for subsequent encounters, I generally follow the same pattern. Target the battleships first unless there's a solar gateway, then switch to any remaining ships. For this phase, I generally worked with another allied ship to engage each group, which helped ensure neither of us was disabled or killed. In this case, I was coordinating with another STOBETTER team member, Jay, flying his Saber-class scatter volley build. That build will also be linked in the description below. Projectile builds are moderately effective on this TFO. There are numerous enemies to defeat quickly, so torpedo travel time can make combat encounters more dangerous, as enemy ships have time to use abilities or fire upon your ship. Failure to target the correct adversary can lead to a quick death or a failed objective. However, projectile builds deal very high damage to large targets, and there are numerous battleships in this map that smaller enemies will cluster around, making them good targets for both high yields that are AoE and torpedo spreads.
Gateway opening at 9 o'clock. Gateway opening at 1 o'clock. Gateway opening at 2 o'clock.
While we try to keep these videos build agnostic to represent the overall piloting tactics needed rather than focusing on the gear, there are two things of note that are beneficial to any torpedo build. The first is a mix of spreads and high yields through the entwined tactical matrices starship trait, allowing for both AoE and single target damage from the torpedo launches. Also, note the use of the Tachyon Net Drones console to offline enemy shields and reduce resists. If you're unfamiliar with this console, it's from the Sea Store ship the Bozeman. Its active forms the purple prism shape you see frequently throughout this stage. Torpedoes have significant damage penalties against shields, so a persistent AoE shield offline effect can significantly lower time to kill for an entire group if you are focusing on torpedo damage. At this point, I split off from Jay to assist our third STOBETTER team member, T-Lor, in his Fleet Resolute as he also needed assistance. The Solar Gateway was targeted first, as those can kill even a sturdy player ship quickly. Then it was back to destroying Herald ships. A few ships escaped, but having no ships escape is optional. While better players or team composition can avoid allowing any Herald ships to escape, and we did so on our exotic run of this TFO, having a few slip through is only a minor loss. Once the timer ends, find the correct gateway and exit the sphere. The minimap has the correct icon. It's at about 10 o'clock relative to the center of the map. After exiting the sphere, defeat the initial Herald groups and then attack the command vessels when they appear. They should spawn periodically.
Take out their command vessels.
Note, however, that this section is bugged, such that command vessels will often fail to appear after the first few, meaning that your team might have significant downtime if you can quickly defeat the Herald fleets. If the map bugs, you'll simply have to wait until the stage ends and it is time-gated. For brevity's sake, the video will be trimmed here.
Energy levels in the sphere are rising. Check it out.
The final stage is quite straightforward. Fly into a gateway, re-enter the sphere, and defeat the Dreadnought. The intro cutscene here can also be skipped by holding escape. Once the Dreadnought is defeated, the TFO will complete successfully.
Sensor readings show that the ship is controlling the gateway. Destroy it! The ship is drawing power from the gateways. You'll need to shut the gates down, or we won't be able to destroy it.
Captain, if this breakdown helped you in your quest to play STOBETTER, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. The link to the specific build used for this tutorial is in the description. For more guides and builds, check us out at www.stobetter.com.